Oh, we're live today. We've got me, we've got Oswald, so if you hear any unusual noises, that'll be him, okay? Him. I'm just waiting for Ryan Nurse. Today, guys and girls, I'm going to be interviewing Ryan Nurse. He's an absolute legend. His story is absolutely phenomenal. So, Jai, what's going on, my brother? His journey is absolutely insane. Iffy's on. Iffy, what's going on? Iffy, do you know what we're doing today? We are talking to the one, the only, Ryan Nurse. That's right, my friend. He's an absolute superstar, absolute legend. Where is he? Ryan, we did say 6, and you're late, mate. You're late. Ryan is late. He's going to get a good hiding. Hey, Megan, how's it going, my good boss? You know what I mean. Come on, where is Ryan? So today, guys, we're talking to Ryan Nurse, and Ryan is an absolute legend. His story, I'm gonna steal it because he's late, so I'm gonna steal it from him. He unfortunately suffered a serious, horrible, I was gonna say accident, but it wasn't an accident. In fact, he got beaten up whilst coming out of a nightclub in a taxi. He got followed. It was absolutely horrific, and he was completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, just beaten up, and he had something wrong with his head. He went back home, and he passed out. He didn't remember anything after that, and I say he woke up in a coma. He didn't really wake up. He was in a coma, and the doctors said, "Hey everybody, hey Jack, what's going on, buddy? You good, mate? Hey mom's on." So he woke up in a coma, or didn't wake up in this case, and the doctors said, well, the doctors didn't say that, but Laura is on live and she's right there. I don't know what she's doing. You can just hear me. You don't have to listen. You don't have to join the live. Trying to get me views. She's trying to get me views. Isn't that sweet? That's lovely. Hello Al, what's going on, buddy? Where is Ryan? Do me a favour, Laura. Follow Ryan Nurse and say, where the hell are you? We are waiting for you. Ryan Nurse, where are you? We did say 6, didn't we, everybody? We might just have to get someone else on and forget him. Anyway, he woke, he was in a coma, and the doctor said to his family, to his mum and dad, you're going to have to turn off the life support. You're going to have to turn off, because there's no way that he is going to get out of this. Megan, do me a favour, message Ryan, tell him to get on it, please, if that's all right. Oh, there you go. Always doing it, but Megan, just say, Ryan Nurse, get your ass on Dale's live right now, please. Off the cuff, guys, off the cuff. It is normally me that's late, actually, Megan, you're dead right, it is normally me that's normally late. And his dad point blank refused and said, you were not turning off that live support. You were not turning it off. And I'm not sure how long it took afterwards, but obviously he made the right choice, because he's with us today. I say he's with us today, he's not bloody here. I don't know where he is. He's an absolute letdown, and he's going to get a good hiding when I see him. We're going to go to Brighton mid-month this month, and I'm going to give him a good hiding. Clive Dixon, what's going on, buddy? So I would love for him. Ryan has started live on his own account. No, you tell him to come off of that and come onto this account. That's what you say. Katie, what's going on? How are you? Katie, all the way from Brazil. Hey, Katie. Ryan. That's it. No, let me see. Look what's going on, everybody.
Hi Will, how you doing? Hi Lee, Lindsay, everyone, Lizzie, Brian. There's loads of people.
I'm interviewing him. It's my account, not his.
I'm just waiting for Dale to come over, but I don't know if...
Scarlett, look what's going on, Scarlett. So I am... Hey, Scarlett, I am interviewing Ryan Nurse. I'm interviewing him, and he's made his own account on here. Yeah, you are going to have to end it, Ryan.
Let's go live. And he's saying, yeah, okay.
Oi.
I'm not too sure what the case is. Yeah, hi everyone, I hope you've all been well. How's your Sunday? How's your weekend been?
What's he doing? It's my life. Molly, hey, Molly. I'm going to interview you instead, I tell you.
Started, no. Right, guys. Oi, we got an oi here. Oi.
Yeah.
Right, guys. I'm gonna shoot over to Dale. So follow me over to Dale. I think you're supposed to be on Dale. Guys, I'm going over to Dale. See me over there.
He's a letdown. Absolute letdown. What is wrong with this guy? There he is. There he is. Oh, he's on now, guys. Ryan, you blooming now, I tell you what. He's going to get a good hiding when I see him. I'm going to set Oswald on him. There we go. Where is he? What were you doing? You absolute numpty. It's my
Mate,
life. It's on my thing.
mate, it was so good over there. You should have come over there, mate. We had loads of us in there. It was so
We've got,
good.
we've got Iffy on here though, and Molly, and we've got Megan, we've got all sorts of people. We've got Scarlett. Scarlett's on here.
Hi, everyone. I've literally, Dale, I started the live. I'm like, I hope we haven't done the same as earlier. I said, because I started the live earlier and Dale was waiting for me. I said, I reckon the same's happened, so I'm going to have to jump over there.
Dude, I okay. I'll tell you what then. Another time in the future, if you want to interview me, then we can do that. Okay, and I'll jump on your live. Deal?
Deal, mate. The only thing I was just worried that last time I tried to go on a live, I went onto somebody else's live, and my internet or whatever, my phone was just playing havoc.
Mm.
But then when I done it on my one, it seemed to have worked. But now I put it on 4G, so hopefully we're all good to go.
I hope so, mate. Because well, I was going to say I want to hear your story. I've already heard it, but I've just explained the whole thing just now, and
Yeah.
it was better than what you can explain. I'm only joking.
Right, let's wrap up here now. Right, everyone, thanks for coming. See you next week.
Thanks for coming, everybody. See you later. Good life. Yeah, no, dude. So I have known you. We met on Clubhouse. I heard your story about probably 11 times, and it didn't get boring. It didn't get boring, and that's quite hard. That's quite hard to say, really, when you hear the same thing over and over again, because every single time you tell it, you bring a new emotion. It's like it's very strange. I think my mum's watching this, and every single time if we watch Shrek, and we see something different and something new, and every single time you bring your story, there's something new. There's a new tone. There's a new piece. There's a new depth. There's a new experience. And when I heard it the last time, you said that it was like this white kind of block or door and I heard that, dude, and I was just like so confused.com, and I was just like, I need to speak about this. So Ryan, without further ado, buddy, I'm going to shut the hell up, and if you can for me, deliver your empowering story.
Yeah,
Fire.
Dale, I just want to say, Dale, thank you so much. And yeah, we met a few months back on Clubhouse. And again, anyone that's on Clubhouse and has connected with any of us, you know full well the relationship that we've all built on here. So it's just like we've known each other forever. It's like we're family, us guys here. So Dale, I just want to say I really appreciate you, my friend. So yeah, let's get going. And that experience that you just said about the little square, I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. And that was my actually out of body experience. So some of you guys that are listening have heard me speak before, and obviously some of you haven't. So anybody that's new here, thank you for being here. And I'm literally going to tell you a story now, how sometimes your most profound periods of pain can also turn out to be your greatest gifts of growth. Because I honestly believe that adversity can quite often turn out to be a blessing in disguise. From my own personal experience, I have found that adversity is the prerequisite to growth, success, and true happiness. I believe hidden at the very core of adversity is the key to progression and lifelong happiness. It isn't going to be easy to find this key. Once you have obtained it, it will unlock the barrier to your next level of life. Adversity can be a gift if we choose to let it be. So my name is Ryan Nurse, and I am a traumatic brain injury survivor and thriver who's also suffered from and overcome depression. So coming up to 10 years ago now, back in 2011, I was attacked on the way home from a nightclub. So when you're sort of 18 years old, which I was at the time, I mean, I was like a little boy. I was a young boy, I like to say. I was so small and thin and frail. And when you're 18 years old, this whole going out, clubbing, nights out, going to bars, pubs, etc., with friends, like you can tell me the same. Like it's this new world. Like it's so exciting. Like you just want to go out there with all your friends and just enjoy the night and have a really really good time. Yeah, and on that Saturday evening, I did. I had an amazing time with some friends, and we went to say a nightclub not too far from where I am now, and we'd go there maybe twice, sometimes even three times a week because we enjoyed it that much, and we knew everybody as well. Like it was that community type feel about it, and what it was in the club that evening, there were some guys there, and we hadn't seen them before in the club, and they looked like they were out to cause trouble that evening. So everyone was sort of watching carefully of what these guys were up to. And sort of long story short, I don't want to go into it too much, but basically what happened was these guys end up arguing with some older friends of ours, because these guys that we didn't know, they were a little bit older than us, but they looked double our age because we was only so young. And they were arguing with some of the older, I'm saying older in air quotes, friends of ours, maybe like 5, 6 years, 7 years older than us. And they got into this argument. There was no, say, fist thrown at all. It was just a verbal argument. People had been drinking, etc., and just sort of emotions were high and tensions were raised. And they ended up arguing, and it all sort of got split up. And then that was the end of it. So we fought. So me and a few friends of mine, it was 2 guys and 1 girl. We decided to leave the club that evening. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember. But in all honesty, we used to leave at probably, let's say, around 3 o'clock, maybe a little bit later in the morning. So this would have been Sunday morning now. And we left the club and we got in a taxi. And then for whatever reason, these guys followed us out and they sort of removed us from the taxi. They didn't want us to be in that taxi and they basically forced us out. And again, there was a sort of verbal argument with these guys. And then in the end, we decided to say, okay, that's enough. Let's just get in another taxi and make our way home, because time was getting late and we was all tired. And obviously everyone had been drinking too. So we got in a separate taxi and made our way home. However, the taxi that got thrown out of us followed us back. So we was driving home and it was literally 2 turns and then a radio come through to our taxi driver's walkie-talkie. So he answered it and they instructed us to pull over, which our taxi driver decided to pull over. And again, we're sat in the taxi and we're saying to the driver, like, why are you pulling over? And this road was just pitch black. You couldn't see a thing. So we're just begging him to just carry on driving. And he didn't. He pulled over and he stopped. And we're just confused. We're thinking, what's going to happen next? And these headlights just pull up behind us. So the 3 of us are sat in this taxi, not knowing what's going to happen next. And then suddenly there was a knock on my friend's window. So it was passenger side front. But as he opened the window, he was greeted by a fist. He literally started to get punched through the window. So I was like, oh my God, like it was just, we didn't know what to do. So I done what any sort of normal person would do and just grab my door to open it to obviously try and stop this guy from hitting my friend. But I hadn't even taken my seatbelt off yet. And as soon as I opened my door on the left-hand side of me, I opened my door and the door was just ripped open. And that same guy that was punching my friend come round to my door and he just started to punch me. But I'm obviously sat there in my seat with the seatbelt on still. And Dale, like, have you ever been, say, in a car and someone, say, suddenly brakes really sharply and it locks? You can't move from it, right? I'm literally glued to the back of my seat. So just imagine getting punched in the head multiple times. This isn't 1, 2, 3, not even 10 times. This is more than 10 times. This is multiple times. And it was like a machine gun to my head. There was no rest or anything. Like, there was no time when I could just go, oh, come on, like, give me a break sort of thing. It was just constant. And all I was focused on was just getting this seatbelt clasped undone. I was just focusing on pressing that little red button down there. And I'm just going, Ryan, you need to get this belt undone. And I was obviously panicking. I was scared. I was nervous. I was getting punched. My head was hurting. I didn't know what to think. And every time I tried to fall down, I literally couldn't because I was glued to the back of my seat. But then finally, I did obviously manage to get the buckle undone. And as soon as I did, I literally exited the car through the driver's side rear on my right-hand side. And I remember the girl that we was with, I saw her handbag and shoes on the floor. And I just picked them up and I run. And I obviously knew the area and I knew there's a road opposite. So I just run down that road. And not once did I think to call the police or the ambulance. I was that nervous and my head was that sore and it was so heavy. I was thinking, I need to get back to my own home, like the safety of my bed, and just get home. So I literally remember I was stood up against this big bush and I called a friend because I knew 2 friends were driving around in one car and they come and pick me up. And basically, to cut this sort of story a bit shorter, they drove me back to my parents, which was maybe a 5-10 minute drive max. And the whole way, my friend was going to me, Ryan, do you want me to take you to hospital? Because I was obviously complaining how heavy and how sore my head was. And it was like this gyroscopic feeling. I remember my head was just going, woo, just round and round in circles. And it was just, I couldn't keep my head up. Every time I lifted my head, you know, like when you're on an aeroplane and you fall asleep and your head does that nodding, it was doing that by itself. Oh my God, like just looking back now, I can just remember every sort of minute of that drive back. And my friends were just adamant they're going to take me to hospital, and I just begged them not to take. I just thought I'd drunk too much and I'd be okay in the morning. But the very last thing that I remember was grabbing the handle of my parents' home. So now I can obviously only speak to you through the eyes of my parents. So apparently I went in and I'd done what I usually done on, say, a Saturday or early hours Sunday morning after going out. So I went up to my bedroom, and I took my clothes off, obviously. I folded them up nice and neatly, putting them down at the side of the bed, and I got into bed. And my parents said that I was vomiting, and it was this jet black vomit. It was like nothing they'd ever seen before. Like, you know what vomit looks like. It just looks like food, really, horrible food. But it was like this jet black colour, which my parents said they'd never seen before. So my mum, like this, is it, what do they call it? Like, is it maternal instincts? Like, my mum knew deep down that there was something not right. But then my dad, as your dads do, was like, no, he's fine. Like, he's had way too much to drink. He's been drinking Sambuca shots. Like, he'll be fine in the morning. But again, like, my mum knew deep down, like, something with her son was not right. So they just obviously monitored me throughout the night. And now we're talking very early hours of the next morning, like the morning of the Sunday. And luckily, my older brother, which wasn't there at the time, got a call or a text from a friend of ours to say, is Ryan okay? Because he was really beaten up. So that's a raised alarm bells, which my brother then spoke to my parents, called my parents and say, is Ryan okay? Which they obviously said no. They tried to wake me up, and then they failed to wake me up. So with that being said, obviously the paramedics and the ambulance was called, where they rushed to my house, and they literally just got me in the back of the ambulance and rushed me to the local hospital. And my mum obviously followed in a separate ambulance, whilst my dad stayed at home to look after my siblings and make sure the ship was still sailing at home, because everything still needed to be sorted. Dinners needed to be sorted. Everything else needed to be sorted. And my mum was just waiting in the reception room of the hospital when nobody would tell her anything. And it got to a point, Dale, where my mum was listening, and she was literally adamant that she heard my voice from down the corridor. So she was quite filled with joy then. So she thought, oh, thank God for that, Ryan's okay. So she followed that voice. And she kept following the voice further down the corridor. And the further she got, the louder, obviously, the voice got. And it got to the point she found the room where the voice was coming from. So she went into that room, but sadly realised that voice wasn't my voice. So one moment she's literally up here thinking Ryan's okay, just back down to, say, rock bottom, thinking that's not my son.
So was it in her head then?
It was in her head, yeah. It was literally, her mind was obviously playing tricks. Your mind plays tricks on you. She heard the voice and she was adamant that was my voice. Yeah. I live with my mum. I was born from my mum, and she was adamant that was her son's voice, because I'm guessing she was in so much panic and pain, stress, whatever you want to call it. Like, the emotions were obviously running and flooding through her body. Her mind was just playing tricks, thinking, oh, that is her son. But it wasn't. So she was obviously asking for questions, like, what's happened to my boy? Like, when's he going to be out, etc. And the doctors didn't really know, in all honesty, themselves. So they was just quiet for I'm saying, half an hour to an hour. But then it got to the point where they did come out and they said to my mum, look, it does really look like a severe head injury. We're going to take him via air ambulance to the specialist hospital, where he's going to go for an emergency brain operation. So for any parent, that's like awful news. Like, my mum saw me, say, only just a few hours prior, going on a night out, as I'd done every weekend since I was 18. She saw me going out with my friends all nice and happy and joyful, to your son is going to be air ambulance to a specialist hospital where he's going for a brain operation. I just imagine what my mum was thinking. But then they didn't air ambulance me. They took me via Blues and Twos to the hospital, and luckily my dad soon arrived then. So my parents obviously followed in pursuit to the hospital where I was being operated on, and obviously the ambulance got there before my parents.
Mm.
And yeah, I did have to go straight in for an emergency brain operation where I suffered from a fractured skull and a blood clot due to a bleed on the brain. And my parents didn't actually get to see me until about 6 p.m. that evening, because bearing in mind, I think I went into hospital about 11 in the morning on Sunday. They probably was following me up, let's say around 12, mid-afternoon, and they didn't get to see me until 6 o'clock that evening because they couldn't locate me in the other hospital. They were just rushing around and panicking and asking all the questions, where is my son? And nobody knew. So just imagine, I can only imagine like what was going through my parents' say body, like emotions, thoughts, feelings, etc. And they finally obviously did manage to locate me. And when they did get to see me, I was actually in the intensive care unit on a life support machine in a coma. So just imagine that, guys. Like, your son's gone from going out on a simple night out, which he'd done every weekend to enjoy himself, to your son sat in a coma in an intensive care unit. So then the guy come round that done the operation, the specialist, and they saw my mum and dad, and they told them obviously what had gone on and obviously the injuries that I'd sustained. And they said, due to these injuries, we are literally not, it's not looking hopeful for Ryan at all. And he'll be very, very unlikely that he's not going to pull through the night. So my parents were obviously gutted, heartbroken. Like, their son is in hospital on a life support machine in a coma, and he will probably not make it through the night. Like, it's horrendous news. Like, what parent would ever want to hear that news from somebody else's mouth? And
parents, mate, they're thinking they'll be more than feeling gutted, mate.
Yeah, gutted. Like, I'm sure that's one of many words that you could use for this. Day. Like it's who knows? Like, I'm lost for words, and I obviously went through it. My parents, like, I can only imagine what they went through. And yeah, they just sat there for the whole until they had to leave. They just sat there and just watched the machine just beep whilst I just lay there, basically dead. And yeah, they went home. They obviously broke the news to my friends and family, and everyone was obviously gutted, as you say, sad, upset, devastated. And then the second day, they obviously returned. No different. I was just there, laying there, and again, the doctors and specialists said that we are so surprised that Ryan is still alive, like still here. Yeah, he's on the life support machine, but it's a miracle, really, that he's still here. And again, nothing happened that next day. But then on the third day, however, doctors called my parents before they turned up, and they said, like, you need to come up today because we got some sort of major news. So my parents knew deep down like what the news was. So they obviously went up to the hospital that morning, and they left my siblings at home. It was just mum, dad, and my grandparents. And as they arrived at the hospital there, they went into the ICU where I was, and then they got told to go into this separate, smaller room where they saw the specialist that done the operation on me. And he literally invited my parents to sit down there. And he said, look, due to the severity of Ryan's injury, and because there is zero brain activity, we would highly suggest that you switch the life support machine off. And my dad was literally the one who saved my life. My dad stood up and he said there and then, like, no way, this machine isn't getting turned off. Like, he goes, I decide when this machine gets turned off. Like, this is my machine. I own it, and I will tell you when it gets turned off. And by doing that, my dad ultimately saved my life. The doctor, he couldn't reply to what my dad said. He couldn't reply to it, because if that was his child, what would you do if that was your child laying there? You wouldn't switch it off.
No.
I mean, it'd be a very tough decision to make, and people, like, even today, right now as we're speaking, somebody's probably making that difficult decision with their loved one, and it's so hard. But my dad ultimately saved my life. And then again, over the next few days, there was no movement at all, nothing. I'm just laying there, brain dead. They kept saying I'm brain dead. And they said, look, we would really suggest that you switch this machine off still. My dad said, no, he's going to wake up, because Ryan takes his own time to do anything. Like, he's a stubborn little bugger. He takes his own time to do anything. So just give him that time. So they give me the time. And then it got to the time when they come round and they said, look, we're going to reduce the sedation and bring him out of the coma. So my parents were obviously so excited. And they said, look, he's going to pull through. And that day that they reduced the sedation, I didn't. I wasn't breathing by myself. So they had to put me straight back into the induced coma. And again, the specialist said, look, it's so unlikely that Ryan's ever going to pull through. Like, we still suggest that you switch the machine off. But again, my parents, my loved ones, my family were just adamant. They had that hope and they knew deep down that I was going to pull through. So they said, no, we've got to try again. So then the next day they tried again. But then thankfully for me, the second time they reduced the sedation, I literally started to breathe by myself. And obviously my parents were filled with joy. But don't get me wrong, it wasn't like I was eyes closed and just sat up and was speaking. No, I was just breathing. Like, my body was just functioning by itself. I was still, say, just out of it. I wasn't there with it. I was still, who knows where I was. And nobody knew, that, say, the severity of my injuries. Hence the doctor saying, if Ryan still wakes up from this, because he still might not wake up. If Ryan ever wakes up, he will never walk or talk again. And he will be in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. So again, just imagine as a parent, if there's any parents here, I'm just looking through the comments. If there's any parents, just imagine hearing that news from somebody's voice or somebody's mouth saying that your son will never walk or talk again and be in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. But then you've got that courage, like my parents had that courage to say, no, look, we're willing to do whatever it takes to get him to come back because we know deep down that he's going to pull through. So then over the coming days, obviously that was about a week period where I was in a coma. Oh, yeah, 1 week period. But then there was still another week period where I wasn't with it. I was just laying there. Yeah, bearing in mind, there was sort of signs of minimal movement to start with. And there was a funny point where my grandma leant down into my right ear and she went, Ryan, open your eyes. Or I was laying there and I just stared at her. Apparently I just stared into my nan's face, and my parents were just filled with this joy and excitement. So they rushed over to the doctors and they said, he's alive. Straight away they just dismissed every hope and joy that my parents and loved ones had, and they said, no, look, this is just electrical impulses. This is just what happens to everyone. Like, he's not alive. And my parents and family were saying, no, he is alive. Like, he can hear us. We know he can hear us. And they were just like, no way, he can't. He can't. He's not listening. This is just all electrical impulses. But then again, over the next few days, there was times where my parents might ask me questions like, do you own a motorbike? Or do you drive a car? And I would slowly say either shake or nod my head, depending on the question. Only a small amount. It was so minimal movements. There might be a twitch of a finger or a twitch of a toe. But my parents knew deep down that I was alive. I was awake.
There's something in there.
There was something in there. They knew. And then it got to the point, Dale, where I'm going to talk you through my out-of-body experience. The very first time that I remember waking up, and I like to say, being back on planet Earth.
Yeah, dude, I think it's important to check in there because it's like, I think your story as a whole is just insane. Like, the emotions that anyone listening to that, I know for a while when you shared that, it's in particular in the clubhouse room when you're in the Winners in London, which is awesome. So many emotions were threaded throughout the entire morning because of your story. But I reckon this story's got two parts. It's almost like the Sliding Doors movie, whereby you've got Ryan's story through the eyes of his family, and Ryan's story through the eyes of this kind of like
my creator is what I like to call it.
So and this is what really fascinates me, because it's like I want to dig into this as well. I kind of want to give you a break, and I want to give everyone else listening a break as well. Have a drink of water, chill out, because that's there's no word for a parent should never have to go through that. We are evolved away from the animals. We shouldn't be hitting each other. The human body is not designed to be hit and punched. It's designed for creation and love and procrastination and adventure and growth, not beating the shit out of each other. That's just animalistic and adolescent and pathetic and insecure and like Neanderthalish. That's what it is. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that want to ask some questions like revenge and stuff. I already know the answers to them, so I'm not going to dig into that. I'll let someone else answer them. For yourself, though, it's like, as we spoke earlier today, kids these days don't know what happens when they die. I've had a lot of kids come to me and they get confused into thinking, what happens when you die? Do you become worm food? Do you go to heaven? Do you go to hell? Do you go as a ghost? Whatever. And it's scary. And you shared with me very vulnerably, actually, dude, how scared you were when you were growing up, thinking what happens when you die. So this is very confusing. I'm open-minded, and I think it's phenomenal. And especially coming from your lips, because you were a very down-to-earth, logical, point-blank, tell it as it is kind of guy. You just like, boom, tell it as it is. There's no reason why you'd bullshit. This is your own experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do, I want to invite you all to listen to Ryan's story part 2. What actually happened inside of his head? So, dude, over to you, my man.
Oh, Dale, yeah, no, thank you, my friend, and I love that as well. And this is like, guys, you don't have to believe this at all. Like, everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, opinions, etc. So this is just my experience of my life and my out-of-body experience, and I've got no reason to make this up.
Exactly. I believe, mate.
People used to say, like, I'm a bit like catchphrase. Like when I was younger, they say like, you literally say what you see. And I do. I literally just say what I see. I say things how I see it. So yeah, for me, this is the next stage to my journey in hospital. So now we're talking coming out of the second week. I'm guessing now. Yeah, let's say around the second, or we might have just passed the second week. I can't be too sure off the top of my head. But basically, this is the time when I realised that I was actually alive. So bearing in mind prior to this, what I've just been speaking about. Everything I'm just speaking through my parents' eyes, because I was obviously unconscious and I was basically laying there on death's doors. What I witnessed in this out-of-body experience whilst in a coma, I mean, you may have heard these stories, say, online or on TV, etc., about people having these out-of-bodies or near-death experiences. And I'm just going to tell you my story of what I saw. So some people believe in, say, karma or afterlife or reincarnation. I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw, and believe it or not, it's down to you. So what I saw whilst in the coma, I literally remember just viewing myself through, like I say, what I can only say is the eyes of my creator, because I honestly believe like we've all got, say, a maker or a creator. Like, can we, say, as humans, be on this planet that's just a rock spinning in the galaxy, the universe? And I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. So what I saw is me viewing myself through the eyes of my creator. And I'm literally laying there on this hospital bed. I'm just here. I'm literally here. I'm not up there. I'm just literally just above my head, and I'm just viewing myself laying on this hospital bed,
looking down on you in this bed.
Literally, it's not even, it's just looking down, but it's not even too far. Let's say half a meter. I'm watching through eyes of something else. It's not my eyes, but it's like, it could be, I don't know, I've looked into this now. It could be, say, a guardian angel, for instance. It could be a guardian angel. It could be who, I don't know.
So you didn't see any of your entity, like your hands or whatever. It was just.
I'm looking. I can see everything, but I'm looking through not my eyes. I'm not looking through my eyes.
Okay. So it's not
somebody else's eyes.
Right.
So I'm looking at me through somebody else's eyes. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm literally watching as I'm being pushed on this hospital bed, and they're pushing me, and I'm just watching. Like I say, only just here, just above my left side of my head. And I'm just watching this whole experience unfold. And they're pushing me down this cobbled street or cobbled back alley, that small pathway. And I like to compare it to Coronation Street. You know, the cobbled streets. It's literally exactly the same as that. And it was so bumpy. There's these two big black ladies, and they were quite large in size, and they're pushing me down this cobbled back alley. And I'm just watching, and as they're pushing me, they're speaking in this unknown language. It's not even foreign. It's not like it's a French or Italian or Spanish, you name it. It's not a foreign language. It's an unknown language.
So it's not. They're not nurses.
Yeah, I think they were nurses. In all honesty, I don't know what they were. They were just the people pushing me. So they're pushing me, but they're almost shouting at each other in this unknown language.
By the way, dude, before you go any further, Tiberius has just joined on. Tiberius, I want you to, if you can, mate, follow Ryan and interview him on your channel, because this is a phenomenal piece. Talking about law of attraction, Tiberius, check out Ryan. Sorry, mate, I just had to say that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dale. No.
He knows his stuff. So you were being pushed on this cobble street by these giant black nurses or whatever they were.
Yeah.
That were speaking a very unknown tongue.
Yeah, exactly that. They're speaking this language, and they're, like I say, they're almost arguing or shouting at each other, and I'm just watching them. But as I'm watching, just say, like I say, slightly from above, they're pushing me, and as they're pushing me sort of down this street or this alley, I'm bumping on the cobbles, and I'm watching my body fall down the bed. I kept hearing this whisper in my ear saying, "Don't drop him. Don't drop him." And it just kept repeating, "Don't drop him," just whispering, "Don't drop him." And I just heard it kept repeating and repeating and repeating. I'm thinking, they're going to drop me. They're literally going to drop me. And I just saw my legs getting closer to the end of the bed. I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to drop me. They're going to drop me. But then suddenly there was just this huge giant on the left-hand side, giant glass sliding doors. And as we made it to these giant glass doors, they just made this sharp left turn into the doors, and they just opened up. And then we went into this sort of reception area, this giant reception area. It was just like this huge place. And I remember there was this like desk, like it sort of curved around, like a curvy desk at the front there. And there was a lady just stood there. And these two ladies pushed me in to this reception area. And as they pushed me in, they were sort of shouting back and forwards between each other and to the lady at the reception. And then suddenly she just pointed to her left, which was obviously to their right, to our right as we're going in. So she's pointing, just literally pointing at her left and just looking at them. And I'm thinking, well, there's nothing at the left. There's just a solid brick wall. Well, that's what I thought anyway. So as we sort of made it in, we started to turn left. And as we went, or we turned right, obviously, to her left. As we turned right towards this brick wall, I'm sort of just watching now from a distance in this reception area place. And I'm just watching them push me towards this brick wall. But then as I'm watching, they're speeding up. They're getting faster and faster and faster. But then the thing is, like, it's quite hard to explain this, Dale. Like, I'm watching from a distance, and they're getting faster and faster. They're not actually going anywhere. I don't know how to explain it, but they're getting faster, but they're not moving closer to the wall. Or they're moving very slowly towards this wall. And I'm thinking, I don't understand this. And then it got to the point where they're literally going at like light speed. They're pushing me so fast. I could just see how fast they're pushing me. I'm thinking they're going to hit this wall. And I'm just watching from a distance thinking they're going to hit the wall. They're going to hit the wall. They're going to hit the wall. And then I just saw them, bam, the gurney made impact with this solid brick wall. And as it did, it was like a giant cat flap. And this cat flap just opened up. Literally, the wall opened up like a cat flap, and the hospital bed just went like that and lifted me up and slid me down. It was almost like I was going through a slide. And as soon as I fell, say, into this wall, this, what's over here, just got sort of sucked over there, and I was back in my own body.
What?
So now I'm viewing this experience through me, through my eyes. So this thing, I don't know where it went.
Oh, okay. So you're still in the. Okay, so you've. This thing, the entities, I need to catch myself up. The entity that was looking at you go through this experience
Was in here now, watching. I was in my own.
And you're looking through your own eyes. So you've got eyes.
I literally fell through the wall.
Right.
Fell through the wall, and then I was sort of got taken into my body from this thing that I was viewing.
And your eyes were open at this point when you.
My eyes are open. My eyes are open, and I'm falling.
Hmm.
Did you know that falling sensation? I know you
Oh,
may have fallen out of a tree, or yeah, Dale, you would have felt it when you done your thing on TV when you done the slide and you fell. You got that sensation around your body, right? That falling
yeah.
sensation. Like you're not, no one's holding you or anything. Or you got nothing around you. You just got the sensation of just falling,
Mm. Like yeah, skydive.
like a skydive. Yeah. But then I had say saw nothing. Like there was nothing on me. It was just me falling, and it was just pitch black, just darkness all around me.
Did you see? Could you see your hands? Could you see what you're wearing?
Oh
Did you?
yeah, I saw my body. I could see my body, but just everything was just pitch black. Literally, like just doing that, like with your hands over your eyes. I couldn't see a single thing. So then I'm just falling, thinking like, what's next? It was like I was in like this massive dream. Like, what's next? I kept saying to myself, like, just thinking, what is next? Then I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, but there was no time in this place. I could have been falling for a few minutes, a few days, a few hours, weeks, years. I don't know. I was just falling forever. It just felt like forever. But then as I'm sort of looking around this place, I'm just looking for anything, for answers, for something. And then it was sort of down towards my left, right down there. And again, I can't give you a distance, but it was like there, like so far away. I just saw square outline. So just imagine, say, you got a pen and paper and you just draw a square. It was like that, just an outline, but it was a white square and it was glistening, it was glowing, like a glowing, glistening square. And as I saw it, say, down there towards my left, I'm looking at this thing and I'm falling towards this square. But bearing in mind, it wasn't like I was here to there. It was like I was falling there forever. Taken again days, weeks, I don't know. I was just falling towards this thing slowly but surely because it was getting slowly bigger and brighter the closer obviously I fell towards this thing. But then it got to a point where I obviously got closer and closer and closer to the point where it was so big and so bright. I remember like the intensity of say the glistening square. I closed my eyes and literally like that, as soon as I closed my eyes, I felt my feet touch something. And it was like I was, when you're coming on a slide, yeah, when you go on a slide, it could be swimming or in a park, etc. When you're coming off the end, you get that feeling of sort of swooping out the end of a slide.
Yeah.
I got that feeling. I literally just, my feet hit and I swooped out the end of this slide. And then next thing you know, I'm literally there, bam, I'm in this hospital bed. I'm just watching from above again.
Well, so now you're back in the hospital bed, and you're watching from above or watching here?
I'm here. I'm up here from the left, above.
Is it you or is it
No,
that,
this is through the eyes of
whatever that thing was?
I'm watching me, and I'm laying there now in the hospital bed, and all this in this place is just me, hospital bed, and then people say it could be doctors, surgeons, specialists. I don't know, and they were just working on me. I just watched them work on me. And there was no pain, bearing in mind. There was no like blood or sinew, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know the right word, but there was no blood and guts or whatever you want to call it. There was nothing. It was just I saw them.
Oh, mate, you've definitely got brains.
Yeah, I was just watching, like I say, from here, and I just saw them, yeah, fixing me, operating on me.
Do you think that was your spirit though, or something like that, or soul, or?
Maybe, who knows, Dale? Who knows? So I'm just watching this whole experience, and again, it went on forever, but there was no pain. It was just quite peaceful, in all honesty. It was just silent, just nothing. It was just observing this whole thing that was happening in front of me. And again, it went on from what seemed to be forever. And I just watched and watched and watched, and then suddenly, they just disappeared. They just started to pack up and move on. They got all their stuff together. And they just dissipated. They just went their separate ways. And then I'm just watching. They just went. They just went round the back, and like, I couldn't see anything behind me. I'm just here, and they just all went. They just disappeared.
So this wasn't in the hospital. Was this in your?
This is in here. This is in the out of body experience at this
Same
time.
thing again, right?
Yeah. So this is the whole dream or out of body experience, near death experience, whatever you want to call it. This is the whole experience. So I'm watching them operate on me. And again, it's not painful. And then they went their own ways.
Mm.
So then, as I'm watching like that again, suddenly this thing, these eyes, this whatever this is, it's almost like a Hoover was inside my head that I'm watching. So I'm laying there on the bed watching, and it's almost like there was a Hoover inside the head of me, sucking the eyes into my head. So just imagine, say, if you had a Hoover in your head and it's sucking something in.
Uh,
Yeah. So it literally sucked these eyes into my head, and then
Mate,
I'm back in my own body.
that's got. I don't know. That's got to be your soul or spirit. It's got to be. It's got to be you.
I don't
I
know.
don't,
I don't know. So I'm back now. Bearing in mind, I'm back in my own body, and I'm viewing this through my eyes now.
okay.
So
So
I'm
you
just. This is still. This is still the whole out of body experience. I'm viewing it through my eyes now. I'm back in
yeah.
my body, as to say, and I'm just there, laying there, and I'm thinking, what next? Like, what happens next? And again, I could have been laying for who knows how long. And all, bearing in mind, I'm not in a room. I'm not in a. There's no walls or ceiling to this place. It's just white, and there's just me, hospital bed, and just this curtain that sort of again just goes round like this shape around the front of me. And then all of a sudden, these curtains just slowly started to open in front of me. But then obviously, as they started to open, this I say it's like a supernatural bright white light, almost like the same that glistening light from that square. It shone through with such intensity. Like again, I'm closing my eyes. I'm closing my eyes. But then I felt it just sort of calm down a bit. So then now I can just slowly open my eyes. And then when I did obviously open my eyes, this is the next part that really sort of hit home and thought, wow. And that's what I've looked into recently with my story as well. So this next part was when I open my eyes, I look out. Everywhere that I looked, I'm not in a room, I'm just in space. I don't know, just nothingness, like just white at this time. And as I looked around, I remember just seeing every single face that I'd ever seen in my life. It could be, say, friends from school, from childhood. It could be someone that I bumped into in the street, say in London, for instance. Every single face that I'd ever seen was just there in this place. And I just watched and I looked and I looked. But then as I sort of made my eyes sort of down and closer and closer and closer, I looked right in front of me and I remember seeing every single person that really meant the world to me, like my true immediate family, say my mum, dad, grandparents, brothers, sister, and they're all stood there in front of, say, this bed, this experience that I'm having. But then the thing that I noticed with every single face that I saw is that they're all crying. They were just crying their eyes out, Dale. They were just sobbing, just tears streaming down their face. And again, everywhere I looked, I just saw these crying faces everywhere. And then I just started to panic, to think, like, why are they crying? Like, what have I done? And then I just started to sort of cry myself a bit. And I thought, I need to grab their attention. So I was waving, I was screaming, I was trying to shout, but no words were actually coming out of my mouth. Screaming, but just nothing. So I'm waving, I'm doing this, like both hands, I'm waving, I'm trying to shout, Mum, Dad, shout my brother's name, sister's name. Nothing would come out. And it was just like they were just staring right through me. It was like I wasn't even there. And again, I just tried to grab their attention for forever. I can't tell you how long, just forever. And I was just crying and I was thinking, what can I do? Like, what can I do to grab their attention? Every single thing that I tried didn't work. So it got to the point I give up. I cried my eyes, I closed my eyes and I was crying. I was leant back on my bed and that was it. I just cried. But then as soon as I hit that pillow, bam, that Hoover feeling again, that Hoover sensation on my head. But this time it wasn't, say, in my head, it was on the outside. So imagine putting, say, the most powerful Hoover you've ever seen on top of your head. And it was just like sucking these eyes out of my head. And I just felt that sensation of being sucked from the top of my head. And it just went, and it just sucked everything that was in here out. But then as it did, it literally took all of the white light with it, all of the brightness. It took everything with it, and it was just dark again. It was pitch black this time now. And then all I could hear in the distance was this noise, which was beep, 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 just this quiet beeping noise. And I just thought to myself, that's my alarm clock's going off. Honestly, I just thought it was an alarm clock. I just remember in my head, I was just thinking, there's an alarm clock going off. But then it got louder and faster, beep, beep, and it was getting louder and louder and faster. And I was thinking, what's going on here? And then my body, bearing in mind, everything's still dark, still black. I couldn't see anything. I could just hear this noise, and it was getting louder and faster. But my body went from being very, very cold to warm up. My body getting warmer. And then suddenly, I opened my eyes. And this is the time when I was actually awake for the very first time, back on Earth, literally in the intensive care unit. And I was like, I am alive. I opened my eyes and I remember every single memory to that night prior to the attack. Everything come flooding back. And I remember looking down at myself, and I had, say, needles penetrating my body. I had these sticky pads all over me. I looked down at my chest. I had a tracheostomy, this big, huge, I don't even know what you want to call it, this big, huge pipe in my throat. And I was like, what? And like I say, all those memories come flooding back. And I remember I looked to the side, and that beeping noise was beep, beep, beep. And that was my life support machine that was keeping me alive. That was the machine that was been keeping me alive, or the machine that was helping me breathe. I don't know, whatever machine you want to call it. That was the machine there. It wasn't my alarm clock. It was that machine there. And like I say, those memories just come flooding back. And I remembered it in so much detail. And again, I just cried myself to sleep. And that time I was actually back on Earth, cried myself to sleep. And that was it. I went back to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning, obviously, and I was back on Earth. I was alive. And wow.
Dude, that's phenomenal. Was anyone around when you woke up? Was it just
It was just me, literally, in the intensive care unit on my own, pitch black.
So
Yeah, it wasn't a nice room. There was no one there. Apparently, I was being monitored throughout the night. They were keeping an eye on me to make sure everything was okay, but I didn't see anybody. There was no one there, just me in this just dark, dingy room on my own.
Wow, thank God for your stubbornness and your dad's. That's where you get it from. And mate, you've just, honestly, buddy, you can't make that up. You cannot make that story. What the hell? You can't. Whatever you experienced, and there's no way, shape, or form that you'd be able to just say that on a whim, just off the cuff, dude. And you've just sent so many people watching this. It's like an emotional roller coaster. Celeste, you must know Celeste.
Yeah, Celestia, yeah. Hi, Celestia. Hi, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for listening as well.
Oh, wow. Mate, you had me glued. I didn't know what to do. And I was really... Dude, you don't know how hard it was for me to shut the hell up and listen to the whole thing. I was like a little schoolboy. Like, and what happened? What happened next? But, mate, honestly, that's absolutely phenomenal and incredible. And do you know what? Celeste just nailed it. Thank you for coming back. Heart. Agreed.
Yeah, so now that I look into, say, my experience, Dale, because I'd only started sharing this, say, 2020, when I sort of told maybe one or two people on Instagram privately. And then, only not long after that, I started to do it because I thought, I don't want to share this experience with everyone. But then I thought, you know what, it's quite selfish not to share this experience now that I've done my research, etc. Because only back in 2020, I actually told my mum.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anyone. I remember, I think 2019, when I was going through depression, I was in a pub with a good friend of mine, and I actually opened up and I sort of told him the story as we were sat in this pub, and he was like, "What?" His eyes were just lit up, and I was like, "Serious?" I said, "I've not told anyone. I kept it all to myself, but I need to tell people."
For him to hear that first, dude, and dude, Puzz has just said thank you for sharing this, and welcome back alive. Little fairy, little shooting star, and Megan loves it. You know, this gets Megan every single time. Mate, it's just, I agree. I think that this story has to be shared with as many people as possible, because it's like your fight, almost like your spiritual fight, that got you to where you are right now. And you know full well, I mean, for goodness sake, Pete Cohen, the legend, has had you as one of the most inspirational people on Clubhouse, and there's a lot of people on Clubhouse. And every single time you share that, you just trigger so many people positively. And I just think it would be a crime if you were to keep that bottled up and stuff. But I want. Do you know what I want to share as well, actually, mate? I want to
Please
share
do.
that you are more than this story. You are a hell of a lot more than this story. This story is powerful. This story gets me every time. I think I welled up halfway through that, you bugger. This week, and you are more than this story. You are a hell of a lot more than this story. You need to share that. But for those of you that haven't heard Ryan speak before, that you're missing out on a treat, because every single time I speak to him I hear him every day, like every day on Clubhouse, because we're part of the winners room, which is like a really great, warm, secure club on Clubhouse where we can share and help each other out, and you share, and you're just like just the phrases you come out with, the sayings that you say, it's just so heartwarming and motivational and inspirational. You are gonna get absolute, and I'm gonna beat you up if you don't continue. If you stop, you're not allowed. You're banned from stopping. Ongoing until we get you on like a massive international stage in front of like 10,000, 50,000 people. Seriously, because that is such a crazy journey, and I wanted to share what I share, but I don't think we've only got 3 minutes left. So I want to respect you, and I want you to add anything you want to add, mate, because I just want to thank everyone for watching today. I was glued. I'm still going to talk to you again after this, and I'm going to annoy you by asking so many questions. But mate, if there's anything that you want to share, or that you haven't shared at all just yet, or where can people find you? What support are you doing? What are you doing now? Are you being a coach? Let's serve you now, dude.
Yeah, no, Dale, honestly, if anyone wants to find me, I'm literally, Instagram is the best way to get me. But yeah, just a few things that I'd say. Like, this is only just a small snippet of my story, Dale, which like my story I could honestly speak for probably 24 hours non-stop and still not be done. Because I've had a lot of experience through my life, and I said this morning actually in Clubhouse. Some people say I look 18. I am obviously 28, but I've got the wisdom of an 82-year-old because I've had so much life experience. But then you said like you're going to hold me accountable and not give up. And that's the thing. Like, I don't give up. I never give up on anything in my life ever. I don't give up. Like, what's the point in giving up? Like, I don't want to go through life thinking what is. I want to see what is. Like, I want to see what it looks like at the end if I don't give up. Like, I want to see what my life can turn out to be if I never give up or stop trying. And I honestly believe, Dale, like you said, to come on here and speak about say the meaning of death and like what happens after death, etc. And people can come up with all these different opinions, etc. And that everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And my opinion on this whole thing, especially from what I saw, I believe in, say, the universe. I don't believe in gods, etc., but I believe in the universe. I honestly believe like there is someone or something out there that knows so much more than we as humans will ever know. And I honestly believe that we will only never know the true meaning, say, of life when we experience death. Don't ever let the fear of death stop you from living. Let death be, say, motivation and inspiration to give you that, say, push you need. Let death inspire you to live your life. So many people go through life, and me too, for a long period of time. Like I said to you earlier, Dale, like I was petrified of death. It held me back from, say, advancing and moving on and challenging myself in life because I was petrified of death. It's a whole part of life. Like, we as humans, like, we're all going to experience death. Like, it's sad to say, but we will experience death. Like, when we are living this experience called life, like, two things are 100% guaranteed, because not many things in this life are. But two things are that we are all born and we will all die. What we do in between those two events that really matter most. So let death be a motivator and push you into living your life now. some point we are going to experience death. Just ask yourself, am I just say existing, believing tomorrow is guaranteed? It's not. Death is inevitable. And I know like we're tight for time, Dale, etc. But I can go on for a few more minutes if you can, my friend.
Well, we'll just cut off because do we only do it for an hour?
I don't know. Let's keep going until it does.
Go on.
Right, just envision this, people. Just envision this. Like I said earlier, I believe like we all have a creator or a maker. So just imagine that you managed to meet your maker. And it could be, I don't know, in the clouds or wherever you want it to be. But you're in this place and your creator, let's just say it's a person, it's a human. And they invite you to come and say, sit down in front of them at this table. And you accept the invitation. And you walk there and you sit down. And as you sit down, you notice, say, there are two of these giant, big, thick books in front of you. And they welcome you. There you go. Read this one. This is the life that I'd created for you. You pulled the book, you pulled the manual towards you. And you start reading this manual. And you look at it and it's a picture book. And it's that life that was created for you. And you're looking and you're thinking, wow, I never experienced anything of this in my life. And you're flicking through and you're thinking, oh my God, like this life, like, wow, why didn't I get to experience this in life? And you're just looking at all these amazing experiences, all of the say, loved ones that you managed to get to spend time with, all of those people that you managed to help throughout life, etc. And you're just looking at this and thinking, wow, 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 this was made for me. And then your maker, your creator, points towards the other book, the other manual, and says, but this is the life that you did live. And you open it up. And you look and you say, you see some pictures and some experiences that, yeah, you obviously remember experiences. It could be, I don't know, first girlfriend, child, etc. It could be children. It could be, I don't know, first car. It could be loads of little experiences. But then as you're flicking through, you notice there's just pages of just nothingness. And you're thinking, oh my God, this is my life. Like, why didn't I go after all those things that I could have had? This is the manual that was created for me, and this is the life that I lived. And then you start to feel this guilt, this resentment, this regret. Because you know deep down now that you could never return to reapply, reattempt to live that life that was there for you all along. You could never go back. I'm so sorry to say, guys, like, we only get one bat at this thing called life. So just imagine you got there to say, meet your maker, and you had these two manuals in front of you, and they said, this was the life that I created for you all along. But you decided to say, play the safe route, and you went down a safe path, and you played it safe, and you just lived this. It could have been, say, a mediocre, it could have been a slightly happy life, but you knew deep down that there was more out there for you. What I say to you guys is, your dream life is out there. So just go out there and get it. Like, don't wait for the manual. Create the manual yourself.
Dude, that's what I'm after. That's what I'm after. You Ryan, everybody, is amazing at quotes. He's like an encyclopedia of quotes from. Do you want to say that to Ryan, by the way? No, you got to make a one. Come on, you're okay. Laura's listened to this, by the way, dude. Have a quick.
Hello, Laura. Hi, Laura. How are you?
Worried about not wearing any makeup, mate?
I know. I've not slept all night.
Not slept all night. So what I was going to say was that you're like an encyclopedia of motivation, analogies, acronyms, and they're amazing. They're so good. And I asked you the question about what. Yeah, I love all that, but I want to hear it from Ryan's authenticity, and that was a good one. I like that one. Create your encyclopedia of life. I love that so much, dude. It's so important, man. Okay, so I have to go. Literally, well, I'm supposed to go around about 7 because I've got to make dinner. Quickly for me, what's next on the cards for you? I want to snipe.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dale. So Dale, you know full well already. some of the guys don't know my whole journey because, in fairness, I haven't really shared it on my Instagram as much. So that's another little thing that I'm going to start doing more of in the near or upcoming future. Start sharing more of my personal journey rather than say loads of quotes, which I love anyway. So guys, if you're listening and you haven't heard my full story yet, I've recently quit my one and only unfulfilled day job of over 13 years to follow my purpose, mission, and vision. So basically, I want to get out there on as many stages, podcasts, anywhere. Just get me out there and get me speaking, because this isn't to say this isn't ego, this isn't big headed at all. But I know deep down that I've got a message that I need to share with the world, because so many people are just taking day by day and they're just believing like they're going to wake up tomorrow. And like, death is inevitable, guys. We do not know when, say, our dreaded day of demise is. Like, we don't know when our day of death is. Like, no doctor can ever put a definite date on our day of death. Like, you can literally go to the doctors or to the hospital with a headache and not come out of that place. That's how precious life is.
Dude, I
just want to share my words to inspire people to live their life.
100%. I know somebody that, well, I don't know them, but know of somebody that stabbed himself with a thorn accidentally in a garden. Not with us anymore.
It's unexplainable. It's unexplainable, but that's just how precious this gift of life we are living. Like, it will be the biggest and best gift that we'll ever receive. Like, life is such a gift. So just use it, guys. Just use it and just make the most of it. And do not take any day for granted, and make the most, because, like I say, you'll never have this day again. So just make it count.
Dude, you're dead right. I love that. Like today, today's the 5th of September, 2021. And there is going to be no other day like this in the future, ever. And there never was. So are you going to use your 5th of the 9th, 21? Are you going to use it, or are you going to let it cascade by? We've got to use it, dude. Like, the chances of us being here are insanely small. 1 in 400 trillion. 1 in 400 trillion. If we were to stand here and count to 1 million, you and me, right now, it would take 12 days. If we were to stand here and count to 1 billion, it would take 32 years, I think. But if we were to stand here and count to 1 trillion, it would take 32,000 years. How big is that number? 32,000, and that's just 1 trillion, not 400 trillion.
I know, right?
Being here are just 1 in 400 trillion. Like, imagine if your mum and dad never met, or your grandparents, one died in the war or something, you know, or like one couldn't be bothered to go out on the night out, and where they met in the pub, they thought, oh no, it's okay. Or anything could happen, but it's like you are ridiculously unique. For every grain of sand on this planet, there's 1 million stars to it out in space. And your uniqueness is like 1 trillionth of that. So use it.
Dale, I love that one as well, the 400 trillion to 1, because some people, literally, I've done some research into this, and they say, yeah, that could be the facts or the statistics, but it's basically the chances of you being born where you are from the parents that you were born with on the day, the time, etc. It's basically zero. It's nothing. It's basically impossible. But that just goes to show that miracles do happen, and we're all born winners. That race to get to, say, the sperm to the egg, we won that race. So if you're here watching this, you're a winner. You're unique. But just as we finish up, Dale, because I know you're tight for time and you've got to make dinner, but guys, just listen to this one. Like,
aren't you, mate? Cheers.
If you're worried about, say, things in life, you just need to practice that gratitude.
Yeah.
You need to practice gratitude. So, Dale, if I said to you then, if I give you, let's say, £1 million, would you take it?
Probably, yeah.
How would you feel?
Feel pretty grateful, mate. I'd have to. Yeah? I'll invest it on you. I'll take you out.
Okay. Okay, all right. Let's say if I give you £10 million, would you take it?
Oh, hugely, 100%.
So you're probably thinking, but what's the catch?
Well, you're a great guy, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, so you're probably thinking, why would someone just give me £10 million? And what's the catch? Okay, here's the catch. I'm going to give you £10 million cash today. Just cash, all yours. Do what you want with it. But the only condition is you cannot wake up tomorrow?
Oh,
Would you take the cash?
oh, my word! I don't think I would.
No?
I wouldn't, mate. I
You wouldn't
wouldn't.
take 10 million cash to not wake up tomorrow ever again?
I'd choose life, bro.
How much would it take?
I've got too much to do on this planet, man. There's not enough money on the planet that will do that.
That's a great answer. And to be fair, Dale, that's the same answer that I would say.
Oh, right.
Do you know what that's proved?
Go on.
Your life is absolutely priceless, my friend. Priceless. No amount of money, no cars, no watches, no homes ever buy your life. Every single day, you are living a miracle. You are living the biggest gift that you will ever receive. So don't ever let one single day go to waste, people.
God. Just hug you again. Yeah, it's so awesome. You're dead. Oh man, you're dead right, dude. Okay, so I want everyone right now, if you're not doing so already, just 1000% follow Ryan Nurse immediately. And if you know of anybody that's got a podcast or that's doing Instagram lives or part of a magazine or something, then put him forward and send him a DM. I don't care if he doesn't want you to. I want you to send him a DM right now, and I want you to say, yeah, I know this person, I know this person. These people can help out. And if you can, buddy, remember Tiberius I said? Message him if you can. I'm going to message him as well because
Can you send me his details just so I make sure I got the right person, please?
100%, mate. 100%. Absolutely. Well, dude, we've known each other for a long time, as in, well, I say a long time, a year. So 6 months, but it feels like such a long time.
It feels like forever. It's every single day we hear each other.
Every day. Or I hear you every day. That's mad, isn't it? It's like literally, I've probably heard your voice more than my friends that I've known for like 10 years. How mad's that?
And what, have we met in person, Dale? Was it once or twice? I think it's just once, wasn't it? Once.
Once. Oh, dude, what's this? Dixie said, if you were to look through the hole of a needle in space, it will contain 10,000 galaxies.
Wow.
No way.
Guys, we are literally living miracles.
Yeah, and look what Dix put this there, how rare we are, and it is a miracle. No, you're right, it is a miracle.
Yeah.
And I say to kids, and I do a big speech about it, there's nothing special about you whatsoever. And then I do my speech, and I say, because you're a freaking miracle, every single time. So, yeah, dude, mate, I want to carry on. I've got, but I'm definitely going to see you this month. We're going to rock it.
Yes.
Everyone should make sure you follow Ryan. Please reach out to him. I want him to be on more podcasts. Laura, do you want to say goodbye? She's so sleepy. Look how round her head is. So round.
Don't be mean, Dale. You go and make dinner.
Sorry.
Cool, Dale. Get in the kitchen, mate.
It's going to hurt me after this. Bro, amazing. So going to do this again. I want you to be on more podcasts. Sniper and you. 2 podcasts this month at least.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. And yeah, anyone listening wants me to be on their podcast, I'm more than happy. So I just want to say thank you for every single person that's listened and that's commented as well. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. You're
amazing, dude. I'm definitely gonna, if I'm allowed to, by the way, I'm gonna save this. If I'm allowed to, if I've got storage or whatever, I'm gonna save it so you can be able to see it. Ryan, you're a blessing.
Please do.
You are the angel looking through your own eyes. So thank you, my friend. Amazing things coming from you in the future. There is amazing things now, but even phenomenal things in the future.
Thank you, Dale. I appreciate you, my friend. And yeah, we'll speak soon. And everybody, go and make the most of your Sunday. Have a great evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and just enjoy life, people.
Perfection. Nice one, buddy.
See you soon. Bye-bye.